At this point, it gives me great pleasure to introduce a family member who was in the movie 9/11 Press for Truth, Robert McIlvaine, father of Robert Jr., Princeton class of 1997, Assistant Vice President of Media Relations for Merrill Lynch and Company, who was attending a banking conference on the 106th floor of the World Trade Center's North Tower in the World Trade Center on 9/11. Please welcome Bob McIlvaine.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm not going to give one of my talks as of yet, so when I do talk, I just get a feel for the crowd and just whatever comes to mind for me, because it's a very passionate thing for me, so it's also very emotional. Here it goes again. I know, but it's amazing. You can't believe how many times I've talked. But it still comes down, my son was murdered. And I haven't gotten the answers that I want. And I'm bitter. And I'm angry. So that's why it makes it very difficult. It's tough, I talk to so many people, and so many people are rational, and they really have great answers. And this is a fault of mine. And one of the positive things is I bring passion to this. But one of the faults is I want my answers now, immediately, and I want the perpetrators of the murder of my son. And I've spent 6 years going to every commission hearing, talking to so many people. And there's simple questions, just simple questions that the media won't talk about. My God, if I can't have a rational conversation with my neighbor about Tower 7 coming down, they look at me and say, what are you, nuts? These are my neighbors. It's tough to get 5-minute conversation with them. That's insane. Absolutely insane. And this list goes on and on and on and on. Well, here I go again. I'm starting to talk too much, and I will. We're going to have a panel, and I'm sorry. See, this is what happens. I don't want to belabor my issues right now, but my main job right here at this point is to introduce Press for Truth. Now, I'm in Press for Truth, and when it first came out, I met Kyle Hentz when he was, he always came to the commission hearings, and I met a lot of people going to the commission hearings, and he asked me to do a part in Press for Truth. And with that same idea that I was just talking to you, at first I didn't like Press for Truth because I didn't get my answers. I understood what they were doing, but I was upset. Again, I want to name people, and I understand why we just can't come out and name people, because I see Steve here, we have to stick to science. We have to stick with what we can prove. We can't speculate. Well, I have a very difficult time doing that. I want to name names. I feel Cheney was part of it. I feel just by going to those commission hearings, it was a cover-up, and you say to yourself, why would they be covering this up? Myers, Eberhardt, all these people. But I have to realize we just got to take this one step at a time. Well, I gave Press for Truth to my relatives, my brother and sister, who were, at the beginning, they just looked at me and said, well, I think you've lost your mind. And I said, well, just look at Press for Truth. And what I found about Press for Truth, for the real skeptics or real people, the comfortable people of America who don't want to get involved in this because it's very difficult to do, Press for Truth is a sort of a comfort zone for them. They'll look at it and say, geez, there is questions. They're not being overwhelmed with everything about 9/11, because people do get overwhelmed. I mean, you talk about the towers, you talk about a hand jar, the possibility the flyers can't possibly do this, that, and it just goes on, and people look at me and say, well, I can't take this. And it's tough. So Press for Truth just gives that comfort zone for people that it's plain in the sea. For my brother and sister, it changed their lives. My sister, I remember before, I mean, how can you quit? How could America possibly do something like this? Now, this wasn't at the time where I was saying, oh, it was an inside job or something like that. I said, I think the government knew more than they're telling us. I mean, this is in the very beginning. And she said, oh, no. Well, anyway, she came back to me and she almost apologized. She said, you know, I've gone my entire life believing that what our government does is right. And I've always believed that. And she's, you know, 57, 58 years old now. And she says, that's the first time I've looked at our government and said, geez, maybe everything isn't true. So I guess that's what the beauty of Press for Truth is, because it just gives that person a stepping stone. As I'll tell people, don't believe me. There's a lot of information out there. But at least look into that information. And what I've found with friends, and especially my relatives, and they mean more to me than anything, the fact that they at least are, my brother, his son's in the Air Force, has been a flyer. I mean, he wouldn't even think of what I was thinking of, but he saw Press for Truth, and he said, geez, you know, there is a lot to this that I didn't realize. So my job is to introduce Press for Truth. So when Kyle came to me, they came to my house, and I did my thing in Press for Truth. And at first, again, it just wasn't giving me enough answers. But I really do appreciate what Press for Truth has done, because it has opened a lot of people's minds. And that's all that we can expect, or I can expect. And I just have to learn to be patient. And I get into more arguments, which I shouldn't be doing, because I have a difficult time confronting people. If someone calls me a conspiracy theory, well, I'm ready to punch them out. And that's bad. It really is. But I really have a difficult time dealing with people individually. So I should carry Press for Truth around with me. And I think if I start talking to people, just hand it to them. I guess that's my answer. You know, instead of trying to engage people individually. I can engage people as a group, but to do it individually, it's very difficult for me to do. So they're showing, I think, a half-hour clip of Press for Truth, so enjoy. Thank you.